Now let's get into fatigue management and how to do it exactly, since I am the assistant regional fatigue manager here. The first and foremost thing you need to do to manage your fatigue is to be balancing your relative effort in training and managing your energies and spreading out your ergonomic resources properly. And then the next thing you need to know is that you can't progressive overload each week for very long without deloads or injuries. Okay? If you do it for too long without a deload, you're going to get injured sooner or later. So the absolute longest that a block of progressive overload should take is 16 weeks. And that's only if you were really drawing it out, to the max and taking it really, really slowly, okay? That doesn't mean you're doing a massive amount of progressive overload in that 16 weeks. That means you've actually been doing little progressive overload from week to week, and stretching it out a bit too much. So that's really only something you would do in extreme situations. Like for instance, if you had taken a break from training and were trying to get started slowly and being very careful and cautious. Or if you found it difficult to get started for some reason and found it difficult to do progressive overload at the beginning and were, trying to figure things out, and just weren't really getting into the progressive overload right away. Another reason might be if you are doing a lot of experimenting with new exercises. That would mean that you wouldn't want to be doing a lot of progressive overload, or if any at all, until you got your exercise selection decided upon. And another reason you might do this is if you had been recovering from a minor injury. But otherwise, a normal block of progressive overload should be between a few weeks and a few months, all right? So usually about a month or two, 6 or 8 weeks, I think, is a good estimate for you to give any meso that you're going into. You don't really know for sure how long it's going to take. So some are going to be longer than others, of course. For instance, the meso that I'm in right now, I'm in week 8, and I'm doing RPE 9, and basically, going through my MAV and looking to basically finish it soon. So after about 2 months of progressive overload, you should be about at the end of your block, all right? You need to be thinking about wrapping it up and taking a deload. And it's such an important topic that I'm going to devote an entire class to them and how to do them later on in the program in the next semester when I teach you periodization. But the basic rule of a deload is to cut down all of your volume and intensity to 50% of what you were doing when you were at your maximum adaptive volume, all right? So it's all going to get cut down. The weight, the number of sets, the reps, and even the RPE is going to go from 10 to 5, all right? Everything is going to be at 50%. That's what is your maintenance volume, okay? Or you could just not work out at all and be doing other active rest activities, like riding your bike to the beach and going for a swim, or going hiking, or playing sports with your buddies, all right? Anything to just stay active. The key with a deload is not to be concerned with how much work you are doing, but how much rest and recovery you are getting, all right? Which brings me to the next aspect of fatigue management, which is so important, and that is sleep. And in order to manage your fatigue, you need to be sleeping more, okay? So if you are getting 8 hours or less of sleep per night, like most people do, that simply is not going to be enough when you are doing hypertrophy training with progressive overload and accumulating fatigue. You're going to need more than 8 hours of sleep per night, okay? So you're going to need to find time to get extra hours of sleep to compensate for the fatigue that you are accumulating and, all of the work that your body is doing, putting it into an energy deficit. So that can mean going to bed earlier. It can mean waking up later if you have time to do that. And it can also mean taking a midday nap. But, wherever you can find extra hours for sleep, if you are doing significant progressive overload, you're probably going to need about 10 hours or sometimes even 12 of sleep. But if you need more than that, that means you're working too hard. And with sleep, it's not just about quantity, but quality as well. You want to make sure that the sleep you are getting is not just the right amount, but is good, high quality sleep. All right? Because if you, for instance, fall asleep with the TV on, or a light on nearby, and you're not in total darkness, then you're not actually entering as deep a sleep as you need to, and that is low quality sleep. And so there's a lot of things that can affect the quality of your sleep and make it so that you're not entering as deep a sleep as you need to. Your sleep is not as restful as you need, such as not having a good circadian rhythm, sleeping at times when it's not dark, or not sleeping on a regular schedule. That is not having a good circadian rhythm, okay? So that means you're not getting as high quality sleep, and having a lot of noises nearby, having things that wake you up, like a baby, for instance. Some of these are unavoidable. If you have a baby, you're just not going to get quality sleep, and there's nothing to do about that except let your training suffer. But with things that you can control, try to get the house as silent as you possibly can, and also you want to get your room as dark as it can possibly be. You want to have curtains that will actually block out all light, or if you do not want to do that or cannot do that, then you want to have an eye mask that blocks out all light. Alright, but either way, you want to make sure you are immersed in total darkness when you are sleeping, as well as silence. And other than that, you want to practice what is called good sleep hygiene. So this means you want to have a wind down period before going to bed, so that you actually can get to sleep quickly and easily and go into a deep sleep. So you don't want to be watching a lot of TV, certain types of TV especially, things with action and suspense or horror. You don't want to watch those before bed, and you also don't want to be playing around on social media and the internet, doing a lot of scrolling, or a lot of things on your cell phone that will have a lot of notifications that will be stimulating your brain, or watching short viral videos, looking at memes, things like that. Putting your brain on blast with all these different types of stimuli that are done in very short bursts. You're giving your brain little bursts of dopamine and sometimes adrenaline as well if they're exciting. And just too much stimulation, and you're basically making yourself squirrel-brained and unable to concentrate or calm your brain down. So that makes it very hard to go to sleep. Also, having any type of blue light, which is the type of light that cell phones emit and most modern TVs emit, is not good for your brain before bed, because while any type of light is going to cause your brain to think that it's not nighttime and it's not time to go to bed, blue light is especially stimulating to your brain. Alright, and those effects will last a little while after it's been turned off as well. So this is why it's important to turn all of your devices off, dim the lights, and have a bedtime routine that is going to be calming and relaxing, and should take place, like a half an hour to an hour before you want to be sleeping. You're not going to get to sleep right away. Okay, have a wind down period. All right, and what will happen is when you turn off or dim your bright lights like these, which are emitting light that is, basically keeping my brain in daytime mode. So when you turn these things off, or at least dim them, it tells your brain that nighttime is taking place and it is going to be time to go to sleep soon. So what your brain will do is it will secrete this hormone called melatonin, that is the sleep hormone. Alright, and that will help you to get to sleep. So that's why it's important to turn all your devices off at 10 or 10:30 and dim the lights and such if you want to be to sleep by 11. So that is how you practice good sleep hygiene. And then it's also good to read when you are trying to go to bed. Reading really helps to calm the brain down and put it into a state where it's ready to go to sleep. Oftentimes you might find yourself falling to sleep while you are reading. And also having white noise can help, like a fan or a recording of ocean waves. Or actually, the type of track that I personally find most useful is airplane engine sounds. I've actually done 2 world tours, and I normally can't fall asleep sitting up in a chair, but found that on an airplane, those jet engines whirring puts me to sleep like that. So that's something that's worth trying, and a lot of people just find a fan useful. But one way or another, some white noise will really help you to get to sleep quicker. And also, hypnosis tracks can be a very great way to fall into the deepest sleep and get the highest quality rest. Those are perhaps the most helpful thing, and if that's something that you're interested in, you can check out the link below where I have one that I created for myself and my clients to help us get the greatest sleep possible. Alright, so that is how to get the highest quality sleep, and then you also want to make sure you get the highest quantity that you need as well. And that'll be the best way to help your body recover and make those hypertrophy adaptations, next to having the right nutrition as well.